Hello again, and welcome to In Taiwan We Speak, your audio guide to Taiwan's mind-blowing linguistic diversity. I am Alexander Shin, and today we continue our conversation with Biung Ismahasan, contemporary indigenous arts curator, assistant researcher, and assistant professor of curatorial practices at National Jinan University in Nantou. So, Biung, I would like to talk about Takiunun. If I'm not wrong, it means kidney in the Bunun language. But that's also the name of one of your own artworks. And as I understand, it stems from your very personal experience, which is your relationship with your late father. What is Takiunun exactly, and how did you come to create it?
Yes, Takiunun, which means the kidney, all science-based curatorial practices in our cemetery in Namasha. Cemetery. I used the cemetery as a site for activism and using the performers and also the installation as the medium for addressing the audience to explore what does it mean indigenous alcoholism, not only in Taiwan, but also a global indigenous community in the world. And Takiunun is a kidney, and I have donated my left kidney to my father in 2005 because my father was addicted to drinking alcohol. And some people say that the drinking alcohol doesn't mainly directly to cause you need to do the process of our kidney dialysis. Because my father was drinking alcohol and also eating the medicines we call xiandan, it's a black medicine, is harmed for the kidney. So my father was doing the kidney dialysis for 14 years. In my childhood, I always send my father to go through the process of kidney dialysis from 10 hours to 4 hours. At the very beginning that you need to do this therapy for 10 hours. And until the recent day, only do the 4 hours. So that's why I used my personal experience to produce the curatorial practice in my father's home. And I give the title From Pink to Darker. During the operation in hospital, I asked my doctor, would you please take photos of my kidney? If you cut my kidney, would you please take the photos? And my doctors took the photos for me and represent the pink colors.
Was the doctor surprised with your request?
Yeah, it's very surprised what you're going to do. So the whole performative curatorial practice in our cemetery in my father's home, I put the name Anti-Alcoholism between 2014 and 2017. And the series of the installation called From Pink to Darker, 粉红渐层, which means from my left kidney to my father's kidney. And I think the organ of your body, if your organ doesn't have any kind of function, it will be represent the dark red color. So from pink to darker. 粉红渐层 is from, which means from left kidney to my father's kidney, because I have donated my left kidney to my father. And fortunately, my father, have the very beautiful memory to process his life for 5 years. And I donated in 2005, and he passed away in 2010, unfortunately. Within these 5 years, he don't need to go to the hospital to do the kidney dialysis. Oh. And the installation is point to the contradiction concerning the general explanation for indigenous alcoholism in Taiwan. And before doing these 3 experimental curatorial practice, I invited 3 different generations. One is the elder people, and second one is the artists and my artist friend generation. And the third generation is kindergarten student, the very young generation, children. And when I invited them, they always shocked, and especially for the elder people, you are crazy, Biung. Why you want to do this performance, and why you want to curate the installation in your father's home, in the cemetery? And before doing this experimental work, I invited a few my relatives to clean all the cemetery, because when you clean that, you will see the photos of that person, and you will remember what they did, what are their contribution to our community. So that's why I think this is quite like the ethnographical process. If you clean the personal tomb, you will remember what is your interaction with these people. So that's what this installation point to contradiction concerning indigenous alcoholism in Taiwan. And I think the From Pain to Darker is a participatory and performative installation and informed my own indigenous curatorial vision. And also I invited the performers Xue Yushen to perform on the site.
I can totally see why you would mention that this work could be controversial. You know, the space within which you hold this exhibition might also feel for some people that it's not the best way perhaps to memorialize. But I'm sure this stems from your love for your father. I'm glad that you also had those additional 5 years that after you donated your kidney, that your father was able to spend time with you without having to go to do dialysis.
Yes.
If you would like to talk a little bit more about your father, what was he like and what are some of the memories that you still cherish about him?
Yes. He did a lot of great things for my community because my father was an elementary school teacher and manager. My father's major is physical education and focus on chalkboard. You know, my father had brought elementary students to create the team and also to do the competition in the city, and also they won the national award for the first prize, and then to go to the Japan to do the international competition. Yes, so I'm proud of him. And you know, during his life, he's a very social person and a lot of energy to serve their friend and to serve their college, and then to very welcoming their friend to our home and to our guest house. So that's why if you want to celebrate the atmospheres, you need to drink a lot of alcohol, and we are not very often to drink mealie wine because mealie wine is only for ceremony, the traditional ceremony. So if you want to celebrate, if you want to organize an event to invite your friend, and my father loved to serve then. So that's why I drink a lot of alcohol, drink a lot of wine. Therefore, my father to build the guest house in order to serve them. So that's why I think this is a very direct inspiration that why he loved his friend. And it that mean that it a hidden background that my father was not paying more attention to taking care of my family. So my mothers have the bad memory about it. Yeah, because my mother take care of us when my alcoholic fathers was, in that period. My father was very strict, and he know that education is very important for me. So for us, and I have the bigger sister and bigger brother. When I was second year elementary student, my father was send us to the Kaohsiung city to study, so that I have received the better educational resources and system. And just because my father think that we need to leave the community to study for our better future career.
Well, since you're mentioning community, you mentioned that your community was confused why you chose this form of art to memorialize your relationship with your father. How did you manage to convince them that you had to do this?
I do believe that a curator is a kind of artist. If I want to do this experiment, my first image that I need to do that because I know you have to did a lot of experiment since 2014. Until now, I would like to do it again and again in the near future. And I use my curatorial working process and trajectory and technique. Indigeneity is a very difficult term for older viewer and older audience. It's a more academic term. And indigeneity is the political enabling construct that quotation the people achieve accomplishment and even improvise indigeneity through the performance and the performative act quotation. in the resistance to the ongoing colonialism and expropriation. I used the performance and the installation as a medium to address the audience to think, what am I going to talk about? For example, there's an elders scholar, and I have collaborated in 2009, and we collaborate with the exhibition of International Indigenous Contemporary Art. It's curated by National Gallery of Canada in Ottawa in the Northern America. And the first quinquennial exhibition called Sakahan, which means make a fire. It is the Anishinaabe people language by the Anishinaabe elders. As you can see that they invite old artists from around the world to contribute to make the fire. So fire is a core value of our indigenous cultures. And then after 5 years, they would like to let the fire to be continued. The philosophy, I think this is very, very important for older people to know that how indigenous respect our natures, how indigenous people to take care of our land.
Well, thank you so much, Biung, for sharing. As always, we will be waiting for you, dear listeners, next week with the last part of our conversation with Biung Ismahasan. Thank you so much, Biung, and thank you everyone else for tuning in. My name is Oleg, and see you next week.